Well, it's good to be back talking football again with you guys. As always, the cliches of great off season. The guys look good. Hold true again. I think Ivan Lewis and his crew have done a tremendous job with our guys. They look in great shape. Excited to get on the field with them this afternoon and crank it up. Some things of note. Matt Lyons has decided to transfer from the University of Washington. Dwayne Washington is still under review with the NCAA to get qualified, and Corey Littleton has been cleared by the NCAA. So those are the only real updates on that front. I will just say in general about our team, year 4, I feel like we're becoming a more mature football team. I know sometimes the age is the age issue, and we don't have many seniors and all of those things, but I think we have experience, and sometimes experience outweighs age. And we've had a lot of guys that have played quite a bit of football for us since their true freshman, true sophomore years that are now in their junior season or sophomore season, that experience that we can rely on. I really feel like this is a tight-knit group, probably our closest, tightest team that we've had, where the last 4 classes have come in together with the sole purpose of winning a championship, and have been recruited by myself and the coaches on this staff. And so there seems to be a sense of urgency, a focused group with a purpose, and maybe a little bit of a chip on the shoulders, which isn't a bad thing at all. I think that this group has got the leadership in place. Obviously, when you've got your returning quarterback coming back in Keith Price, the leadership in place to embrace the philosophies and beliefs that we have and that we believe in, and that's playing hard and playing fast with an attitude, but yet playing smart and understanding the special situations of the game, playing with a very high football IQ. And so we'll lean on the likes of Keith and Desmond, Sean Parker, Drew Schaefer, those types of guys for their experience and their leadership to help guide some of our younger players as they get used to the program. I don't think from the naked eye you'll see much different from training camp as far as things that we've done in the past. There'll be some things along the way that'll be a little bit different from a focus standpoint or what we're working on in that aspect of it. A little bit, we'll continue some of the themes that we had in spring ball, a lot more competition, one-on-one competition drills that we did more of then. I think on the back end, one area where definitely different for us is we've gone totally digital from a playbook standpoint. Everything is on the iPad now, which I know the players embrace. Obviously, we're cutting down on the big notebooks, but also I think it's something that they relate to. This is a digital world that we're living in, and I think the players probably understand the iPads better than we do and how to operate them and get from page to page and all that stuff. So that's so far so good, and really excited to get on the field with them. It's been, you make the changes that we made from a staff standpoint. You recruit the players that you recruit. You lose players to graduation. New leaders emerge. And like I've said every year, the beauty of training camp is every year is different. And I know there's a lot of familiar faces on our roster, but as players mature, as they get more experience, leaders are formed, and through that comes a new personality every year. And this team will take on a new personality than any other team that we've had. And that's what training camp's about. It's about coming together and working with one another. It's about fighting through the blood, sweat, and tears, enjoying the laughter, enjoying the smiles, and inevitably coming together as one for a common goal, and that's to win a championship.
Coach, you've since last year, obviously, you had a transition staff-wise that
Right.
you haven't gone through as a head coach before. Can you talk a little bit about what you might have done different to prepare for that and how that's changed things at all?
Well, just trying to get to know these guys is one of the biggest things. When you bring in new coaches, it's really getting to the core of it and who they are and what they represent and their style in which they coach, and how they relate to the players and how they relate with one another, how they relate with me, and get them to embrace the uniqueness of the University of Washington, what makes this place so special. And so I've really tried to attach myself to them and instill the confidence in them of why we wanted to hire them and why they're here. So maybe that's a little bit different, where I'm just been focused on what I needed to do for me and for the program, but trying to reach out a little bit more to letting people know that this is a great place and that we're all fortunate and honored to be part of it. And I think that has really helped the messaging to our team as well. And we've got new coaches in the strength staff. We've obviously got new players in our program. And you go back 4 years, and you inherit a football team, and you try to piece together a recruiting class there, and you got new coaches coming in. There's so many things to get done. Well, now I've got our leaders on this team who have been here for 4 years, who are recruited by us. The messaging, the philosophies are second nature to them. It's who they are. It's what they've become. And so now when you bring in new coaches, it's to get them integrated as quickly as possible so that their beliefs are aligned with mine and with the players. And so that's what the biggest change has been.
Can you talk a little bit about how the incoming freshmen and how they've done throughout the LEAP program and
They
getting
did great in
acclimated?
school. I think our lowest grade of all the players in LEAP was a 3.2. I think it was an average of almost a 3.5 for the entire group, which is amazing. It's a great job by Kim Durant and her staff. It's the best ever that's ever been here. So really proud of them that way. I feel like the reports I've gotten from campus are that they've been respectful, they're humble, they're hungry, they want to get on the field and go play. And so time will tell. It's a hard one to answer today. It'll probably be hard to answer in the next 2 or 3 days until we really get going and they have to fight through adversity. But I do know they're a good-looking group. They're excited to be here and proud to be part of the program.
In terms of health, is there anybody then who's not going to be able to go this
No,
week?
you'll see everybody go. I mean, Feeney will be going, Sample's going, Tanagawa's going. He'll be limited some, but he'll be out there. Tafunga will be going. You'll see a little brace on his hand. Deontay Cooper's cleared to go, so you'll see him going out there today. The one kid who won't be completely cleared is Ryan McDaniel, who's still in the stages of recovery from the ACL that won't get him fully cleared. He'll be able to do some stuff. Cooper Pallure is the other one who's out, and that's been known, had the shoulder surgery. And then Kevin Smith, you'll see he'll have a gold jersey on, which will be limited. I guess that would be the other change. Instead of the injured guys wearing red jerseys, they'll be wearing gold jerseys like the quarterbacks. And they should have their number on so you can identify them. And that just basically means that they're non-contact. So Kevin Smith, you'll see him in running routes. You'll see him in some 7-on-7 a day. We won't have him going in full team, but he's made a great recovery so far.
You mentioned Deontay. What's realistic for him to expect right now then?
We don't know. We're kind of in uncharted waters with Deontay at this point. He's going to get in. We're going to monitor him closely. But I think it's important for him, not only physically, but from a mental standpoint, from a psyche standpoint, that he gets into the flow of it. And obviously, we're not going to try to give him 20 carries today, but he's going to get enough exposure to football to where he can start getting comfortable again.
You mentioned that in April the concern with all the touchdowns you lost with Chris Cole and the receivers. Do you feel better about that with what you've seen from practice, or is it going to have to go all the way to games for you to see them play?
I haven't seen him yet. That's a hard question. I know we do this press conference to kick off training camp. It's hard to answer the what ifs, and I hate making statements that I don't have the answers to yet. And so what I do know is that we have some players on our roster who expectations and the levels of expectations have risen, just as our program has. And whether that's Kaysen, whether that's Austin, whether that's James Johnson, whether it's some of the newer players that are coming into the program, if it's Jesse or Bishop, I know the standard for which the bar that we're setting for them is higher, and it's higher from there within. But I don't know if I'll feel better about it until I actually start seeing guys making those plays and creating those touchdowns and all those things. And hopefully we can put that to ease sooner rather than later, like a lot of the questions that we have in training camp.
Your quarterback, what if this Steve Price, what does he mean to this team, the comfort level he gives you?
It's always beneficial when you've got a returning quarterback, especially when from an age standpoint, you've got some youth on your football team. I think Keith has a great deal of confidence in himself. He's a tremendous leader. We've all seen his ability, what he brings to practice and the way he practices. I think that Keith has put in the time, and I think his teammates recognize that. He's over 200 pounds now. I mean, this guy he just continues to get stronger and look better and better and better, and that's a tribute to Ivan and his staff, but also to Keith, to understand you can go out and have a great year, but how am I going to get better? And what am I going to do to take the next step to get better? And I think Keith has identified where he can, and he's addressing those things.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about Shaq? We had Justin Hunt here a couple weeks ago. He doesn't look like he's ready to give up the starting position quite yet.
Again, these are the what ifs. You know, he's here, he looks in shape, he cleared his physical, but you got to give me a couple days. You know, I don't know. I don't know exactly what we're getting. We're going to put him out there in different scenarios and different situations, just like all of our freshmen will. I mean, you're going to see Brandon Beaver and Cleveland Wallace back there. You're going to see Darian Washington. All four of those guys are going to get their shots. In 3, 4, 5 days, I'll probably be able to answer that one a little bit better.
Did you ever talk with him about inability to hit the slider?
We haven't got there yet. We're just making sure we cover the seam route today. So,
Steve, in the semantics of how you're going to conduct fall camp, what have you learned the first 3 years that might change this year?
this is a building process. You know, I think sometimes your first year you want to come in and it's a big first meeting, rah-rah speech, you know, and well, this is a long month, you know, and this, you know, not that we weren't fired up to go last night, not that I wasn't, but man, you save some things now, I think, for week 2, week 3 when that grind is going, you know, and so I think we were a bit more efficient with our time and our administrative meetings. I think the messaging was clear. We didn't have too much for them to focus on, but that there's going to be messaging that's going to get given to them as we move forward throughout this camp that maybe in the past we would have tried to give them to it all at once, and you miss some of it. So we're going to break it up a little bit as we go. And I think that just comes from growing and hopefully learning.
See, with your freshmen, does your use of them or your thoughts about going into this camp change now that you're in your 4th season, you're starting to build some depth? Do you think about redshirting more guys?
Well, you know, it's unique. Chris, I think it was 2 years ago we played 16 true freshmen, which I think was the most in the country, us in Florida. And then you look at last year, I think we played 4, and one of those might have been James Sample, who got his year back, you know. So I like to think that that's the sign of the times of where we're headed. I do know that I will never not play a kid just because he's a freshman. You know, the best guys on the field are going to play for us. But I know it's harder for our freshmen to get on the field now than it was before. I think we've recruited the type of athletes that fit our schemes, that have the personal makeup, the competitive nature that we love, the unique and special qualities that they possess. And so I think it's getting harder for them to get on the field, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to give them the opportunity to show what they can do. And if they're the best player for the spot to make us the most successful team, then they'll learn that job. And you ask any senior, junior, sophomore, freshman on a roster, they get it. The best guys are going to play, and that's what makes the competition so unique.
Coach, you talked at Pac-12 Media Day about this being the first time since you've been here that these are all guys you recruited. I just wondered, how really important is that in terms of your system, your way of doing things in the big picture?
Well, there's 5 other guys, but the cool thing about those 5 other guys are we've been in some pretty good battles together, and we've had some pretty intimate moments together, and so I think they recognize what it's all about too. The key to it is the consistent messaging from day one, that these guys step on our campus, they're hearing the same things over and over and over again, and it's ingrained in them until it becomes them. And I think that we're seeing that. And what happens is then your leaders, the talk in the locker room is what we say. And so my messaging can be something even beyond that because they're already speaking that way together collectively. And that's definitely occurred. And I'm proud of that. You know, as a coach, there's little nuggets along the way that you get proud of. And when your guys are speaking your language, when they're speaking your lingo, when it's not coach talk, it's locker room talk, that's when I think you can really make strides. And we're definitely getting that from our veterans down through our younger players. And that's why it's so important. And you know, what these guys came here to do was a consistent message in recruiting as well, and that's ultimately win a championship and get a world-class degree from a tremendous institution, and live in an amazing community in the city of Seattle, where the support for Husky football is second to none. So they're all here for the same reasons, and they're all have a really cool edge to them that is a competitive nature within them. That is the first thing we look for in recruiting, and they all fit that criteria. And when you bring all that together, it creates an environment that I'm proud to be able to say, we put that together, and now let's see what we can do with it.
From a logistics standpoint, you know what you have with Keith, but your backup quarterback
Right.
spot is open. How are you going to go forward in terms of snaps for these kids?
No, it's a good question. You're going to really see the next three guys pretty extensively. You're going to see Derek Brown still. You're going to see Siler Miles. You're going to see Jeff Lindquist, and we're really going to give Siler and Jeff as much as we can, especially early, to get a gauge for where they are. It's always tough to tell a high school kid what they really did at quarterback. You know, it's a difficult deal. So we're going to give them as much as we can. You're going to see them, and by no means try to diminish what Keith is doing. We need him to continue to get better as well. So everything is thoughtfully, laid out so that we know exactly who's getting what reps, how many reps, against what looks, so that we can get a gauge for how they handle pressure or zone or the run game, the pass game, all those things.
I remember Siler, he may have had surgery right on signing day.
Right. He looks, he appears great. Again, we'll see today. He'll be rolling out of the pocket today, one of the first things we do. So he says he feels great. He's been fully cleared, ready to go. So I wouldn't expect any setbacks, but we'll watch him.
You're going to practice in the morning once the season starts?
Yes.
Was there a thought to try to have meetings practices in the morning?
Well, we do walkthroughs in the morning. So we're actually out in the morning. You guys just don't get to be there.
Steve,
How are
you,
you going to determine your running back spot? Is there something in particular that you need to see from these guys for them to win a job, or do you anticipate carries?
It's everything, Elise. There's going to be days when certain guys are going to get the bulk of the carries, and it might be, Jesse one day or Bishop another, to see how they can handle 20 carries of practice or 25 carries of practice, how they respond physically. Obviously, their ability to do things right. We have to technically, fundamentally be sound at that spot. Who can respond to the special situations within the game, and who responds to the third down, to the red zone stuff, to the 2-minute stuff, the short yardage goal line thing. So we're going to gather as much information as we can individually, but also how they fit into the grand scheme of what we're trying to do. I will say this about both those two kids, Jesse and Bishop. They've both been diligent in their preparation, and they've got a real sense of seriousness about them, I guess, to say the least. And that not being said, that doesn't mean they don't have a lot of fun doing what they do. As we all know, Jesse, he's one of the funnest guys on our practice field. But there's a real sense of this is our time. And then Deontay's back going. Eric Wilson's going to be in the mix here as we get going. Desden Petty. So we're going to have to, just like the quarterback spot, there's going to be certain days, certain drills. Some guys are going to get featured more than others, so that we can gather as much information as we can.
They have similar